What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another part of this mixing and mastering mini series. I am Clormo, and today I'm going to focus specifically on how to better link up your kick and your bass. And the reason why that's important specifically, or more importantly for hip hop music and more urban type of music, is because you ideally or typically are going to emphasize the lower portion, the low end of your production. So the kick and the bass definitely are going to be leaving there. So you want to take special care of how both play together so that one doesn't overpower the other and they play nicely. So what I'm going to do is just two very simple to follow techniques, in my opinion. One is just doing some simple and subtle EQing on both of them, and then doing some sidechain compression on the bass. For those of you that have no clue what sidechain compression is, please Google that and check some of my previous tutorials where I also explain in more detail what that is. But in essence, what that does is just gonna help, in this case, the bass to kind of duck underneath the kick when the kick and the bass are playing kind of at the same time, when those things are, so they don't clash. So important to do that, or a reason why you would want to do that is, in my case, in this example, is I just want to emphasize a little bit more the kick. That's kind of true for a lot of hip hop, so you want to pay attention to that. Anyway, I don't want to bore you anymore. This is what we had in the previous tutorial, where we ended up. I didn't do any fine-tuning. I'm just gonna go and keep going, and then take a little bit more care in the end about some of the levels if need be, but we're just gonna concentrate on this portion here. So I'm just gonna solo those, no distractions. And let's start with something pretty simple. Let's just put a thumbnail EQ on the three of them, and you do that by double clicking. So I'm just gonna be playing around with this guy. So I'm gonna keep the three EQ windows open. I am going to solo only my kick, main kick, and the bass for now. Then I'm gonna introduce kick number 2, which is just more of a layer. What you want to do here is just make sure that your analyzer is on, and we're gonna play those two together, and let's just see what the frequency content is of each. And let's start making decisions. Actually, I'm going to just do the kick first and then do the same for the bass. Let's just take a look at what we have. So you can see right away, and I'm pressing pause or on the player to on purpose, just to see the frequency content. I can see it already on the other two that I'm dealing with, because Logic doesn't understand that I'm soloing it as far as the EQ goes, I should say, channel EQ. And I can see that this kick has a lot of stuff going on, from between 50 to about, I don't know, almost 200 hertz. So I want to make sure that if I want to emphasize, I want to concentrate on that portion. Now I'm going to do the same for the bass. We should be seeing the same thing, but it's kind of where more of the stuff is happening with the bass and the melody of the bass. So again, you can see right away what's going on. So we have some areas here on the bass that maybe we want to take some care on, so that, in my case, what I want to do here with this example is to give more emphasis to the kick, the main kick. So that's what you want to do. If you want to keep having them play nice together, right, in the future, it's the same concept, but all you need to make sure is that you take more care of one by cutting some of the frequencies, so that way you're emphasizing whatever it is you want to emphasize. So this is really also applicable and usable for anything else. Okay, anything on your instrumentation on higher frequencies, it's the same concept, and you're gonna be seeing it in the next videos. I'm gonna be doing pretty much the same thing. Now let's bring this layer kick. So there is just one kind of area here that might be problematic, but you can hear it's more of a ringing kick type of sound. So I'm gonna have some other frequency content that's gonna give it's gonna give this kick its meaning. And I think it's more like when it's dying down in between the 100 and 200, but there is obviously some frequency content here because it's a kick, so we have to pay attention to that. So now I'm just going to concentrate on main kick and bass, and I'm gonna do some things here, okay? So I kind of have this at 75 hertz. It's kind of the peak sound or kick pop. In this case, I'm gonna actually move my band this bell and bring the more of the sharper cut into kind of the same area. In the case of the bass, we're kind of being between 50 to 64. So let's see what we have. On 50, definitely some of the power of that kick, it's starting to glow. Then at around 73, it's where like it's peaking. Maybe I just want to come here. See what's at 64. Yeah, some of that energy is still there. And at 120 to 158, so we can't ignore either the 100. The good thing is that the bass itself, it's kind of already tucked underneath at that level at the 100, so I don't want to do anything there. So what I'm gonna do, it's more like in this region at 60 something, which coincides with some of the bass, of the kick and the bass. I'm gonna come here to 64 and just be subtle about it, but we are going to cut a little bit of that. Maybe minus 2 dB should be enough. And then I'm gonna come to this guy here. This is a little bit easier, this example, because it's very graphical. Right, I can see exactly where things might become a problem. This is at 120. I already said here that 120 is kind of one of the main areas of that kick, so I definitely want to take some of that off. And again, we want to be subtle. We don't want to like overdo it because there's no need to. Probably no need to, but so that's what I'm gonna do there. In retrospect, I'm gonna come into the kick and I'm just gonna do a very simple 0.5 on this area here, just so that this kind of has a little bit also of more energy in here in the 100. It might not be necessary, but that's just what I'm seeing right now. What I'm gonna do next though, on both of these guys, I'm just gonna do a little bit of a band pass at around there, 25 hertz. I'm gonna make that a little bit sharper on the slope. And the reason for that, and I kind of tend to do that a lot regardless, like in pretty much everywhere that I can, especially if it's not needed. I just want to take a little bit of that out because, especially with people like me that don't have that good of hearing or hard of hearing, you are not gonna really need that for anything. It's not audible for a lot of people. A lot of humans cannot hear anything there, and it's just like I don't know if you have heard the term like your dirtier frequencies, like your muddier frequencies. They kind of live there. There's a lot of just noise there. It's kind of the same thing like in the very upper region of your higher frequencies. Now for these, I can argue that I don't need any of this, but I don't want to overdo it. Let me just show you what happens with the kick alone if I just go and do a very hard cut of these frequencies, and let's see if that makes sense or not. To me, that it's undesirable, so I'm not gonna overdo it. What I can do though is be a little bit gentler about it and go like that. So let's take a listen while I edit those frequencies. So maybe I will do something like that so that it still keeps some of that late brightness on the kick. On the bass though, listen to the bass on its own. I may just do this and then come in here. Let's free up some space here. In this case, I'm just making some space between 1K and 2K because I don't know if you have heard this before, but this is where a lot of vocals live in, a lot of your instrumentation will live in, right, from some of these frequencies up. So I don't want to, if I can help it, I will do some space right at the beginning. And this bass is not using a lot of energy here, so I'm just gonna take it off right now. That's kind of why I also kind of did the same thing, but with a different method on the main kick. Now let's listen to those two together. Keep in mind I haven't brought it the layer of the kick yet, so that might give us a different result. It's not that bad. It might not even be that audible to you at all at this point. As far as what the difference is, I kind of hear already some difference, some better emphasis on the two. But again, I'm hard of hearing and I need to really focus when I'm doing this. So my apologies if I go back and forth too much, but I just want to make sure that those of you that are kind of like me, hard of hearing, really pay attention to what you're listening to and just watching the frequencies, because it's not as easy as it sounds. It's not in the beginning. If you're doing it for the first time, you may seem like you're not doing anything, but trust me, stuff is happening. Now let's bring this kick on its own first. I'm gonna open that up a little bit more and actually take it there, only because I have enough of what I want on the low end of this kick, so I don't think I need that. Notice that this is where things are really happening on this kick. So if I were to do you see, I just kind of kill that. So I'm gonna be much more subtle here, maybe -1 dB. And I gotta kind of pay attention for later. And then do just a little bit there to get, not lose some of that. I think that might be good enough for now for this phase. Let's listen to the three together. And this is a good thing. When I don't know if you remember in the previous videos when I said like some level adjustments are gonna keep happening as you go along and do these things. I am noticing that right now my main kick and some of this layer of the kick are maybe too loud. And I kind of knew that from this here, but I gave it some initial gain and maybe I'm regretting that now, and so on and so forth, but we can take care of that at this level. Especially with this layer. I just some little fine tuning there just to get those three elements sounding better together. And that's pretty much as you can do here at this stage. I'm gonna close those, and now I'm gonna switch into side chaining mode. So all you need to do here is this is not super necessary, but if you want, you can create an aux channel for your kick just to have more control over it. So what I'm gonna do is I already have this bus that is not being really used for anything, I don't think. And this is just something from before. But you know what? I'm just gonna leave those two buses there. I'm just gonna add a new one. I'm gonna make it 10. And I'm gonna call this kick sidechain. So now you know that's like my side chaining, how I'm gonna route it. I'm gonna route my kick through here and then add that to the compressor on the bass, but I don't want this to have any output because I still want to control the output of the kick at this level. So what I'm gonna do, so with that being said, when you come here just to double check, you see that that's the name of it. That's good, so you don't have to get lost. You don't really have to do that. I'll show you why. So now I'm gonna go to my bass and do some compression with Logic's compressor plugin. You have different types of modules or algorithms, and each one is going to give you a different tonality and warmth and stuff like that, and color, and bottom line, a different sound. You can pretty much do whatever feels good for you. This is not such a bad plugin as other people may think just because it's a stock plugin from Logic. I think that for low area, I would probably go with a studio fed or maybe a vintage fed. I'm gonna go with a vintage fed for this example. I'm gonna turn off my auto gain and then I'm gonna turn off this auto. And all we have to do here to make sure that the side chaining compression is happening, I'm gonna go, yes, you guessed it, up here when it says side chain, and I'm just gonna choose what I'm gonna be side chaining. In this case, you have your kick side chain bus number 10, which is down here, and if you select that, you're gonna be doing that side chain compression. If you want though, you can also select your kick from here, which is that guy, and it's gonna be the same thing. The only difference with this adding this bus is that now I have more fine-tuning control, and I have like a visual aid as to where my side chaining is without having to go into the compressor. What you want to make sure is that though that you have some output. Right now there's nothing, and you want to make sure that you're actually doing something with that aux channel. So I'm just gonna go make this 0. Boom. I could have actually pressed control or option. Is it option? Yeah, option, and it would have brought it to 0. And then pay attention to this bar here. When you see a little like purple bar come up, that means that compression's happening. That's also always good to double check. And then what we're gonna be working with is really the threshold, the ratio, attack and release. The makeup gain may come into play if the end result is a little bit quieter. If you think you lost some of your loudness, then you can work here. But again, you want to be gentle. Right now, the default settings have like a minus 20 dB for the threshold, and the ratio it's a 2. Maybe we want to start a little bit down here, 1 to 2, 1.2 to 1, I should say. And just pay attention to the graph. You want to kind of keep your compression around the 0 to -5. Maybe go a little bit louder if you are, like I said, hard of hearing and you're not getting the result you want. Maybe you want to compress a little bit more up in this range. But generally, you want to be gentle and subtle in what you're doing with the compression. I kind of take that approach, again, only because I'm hard of hearing and I don't want to like overdo it. And then when I get to the very end, everything's like too overcompressed and distorted. I just get mad at it and just delete it. And you know, I don't want you to go through that trouble. So let's start dealing with just threshold and ratio, and let's listen. Try to listen carefully and listen hard. Let's see what those are doing. I'm gonna start with a lower threshold. I'm gonna start compressing. It's not really doing anything, as you can see. Take a look at that. So I know this is really outputting minus 5.8, so minus 6 was not like high enough, so I'm just gonna So that kind of brings me to almost the default settings. So maybe I should have left that where it was. But it's not bad to always come down again, take that approach little by little. Let's listen to that again. So I don't know about you, but I kind of hear the difference. It's not that super obvious, but it's there. Like the bass is making space for the kick to come through at certain points, and then you can see the compression happening. Now, to even fine-tune that even more, and we're gonna keep paying attention to everything else, it's my attack and release. So I want that compression to really be triggered right away, and that's what the attack does or helps us achieve. So let's just make that as it's in milliseconds, so the lower that value is, the faster it goes. So I'm just gonna say 0.5. Notice how that affected my compression, right? Same with the release. I want that compression to go as fast as it can or it needs to. So I'm just gonna, here, I can't go below 5. I'm just gonna make it 7. That's kind of a number that I kind of usually use, that in my mind gives me, and in my ears gives me the result I want. And now everything seems a little bit more cohesive. I can hear difference maybe because I have done it so many times in just practicing it and try to understand it, not really even in beats or stuff, that I kind of focus myself on a certain thing that I want to listen to, and my ears kind of hear it. Maybe I'm fooling myself. I don't know. You may tell me in the comments, but with that, I'm just gonna close it. And now, just to make sure that all those little things that we did, the EQing and the sign chaining, did not have an adverse effect on just these three. Let's bring the level meter and let's listen to that. I think the loudness on its own, it's not that bad. Let's listen to everything together again with the instrumentation. So I lost some of that loudness that I had, which was at the -9 level, and it seems like the brighter instruments kind of overpower stuff again. So now I'm gonna take this again and kind of bring them up a little bit. I could also like make up some gain here for the bass on its own. Let's see if that it's a better approach in this case. That gave me something. I'm not happy with the kick. So now I came back to that -9 level that I want to achieve. It's a little bit more balanced too, and it didn't take much. I just tweak again a little bit, and I think I've said it. If I haven't, I'm gonna say it now. I'm gonna keep saying it a lot. It's that every time that you focus on little things, like in this case, kicking the bass just to put some of that side chain compression stuff, you have to always circle back to your levels and make sure that your adjustments didn't affect you that much. In this case, it wasn't that bad, right? It was easily fixable, so that's good. And that's pretty much it for now. So in the next video, what I'm gonna do is just EQ the rest of the instruments that are there. I'm gonna try to go as fast as possible on that one because I pretty much gave you like everything, not everything, I shouldn't say everything, like a lot of the intermediate level kind of things or techniques that you should be doing in this video. So in the other videos, you're gonna see me just do tweaks and stuff without stopping to tell you what I'm exactly doing. I think that visually, when I bring up the EQ and stuff, you're gonna see like, okay, so I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to get this stuff not to clash with this, always give some emphasis to the kick and the bass, and this is going to sound a little bit more better as we go along. Right now it sounds just okay to me, so let's see as we go through how we enhance that sound with the different other techniques that we're going to be learning. So as usual, if you found value in this video, please, I suggest that you follow me and subscribe to my channel Clormo. If you have any comments, suggestions, what did you learn here? What did you take away from this video? What do you know that maybe I may have introduced here, or maybe I missed or don't know? Just leave me a comment. Let's have a conversation. Let's share. Let's help each other. And if you don't want the whole world seeing what you have to say, just reach me in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or my webpage, clormoindustries.com. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for the support and peace out, people.